Welcome to the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Rudolph, and we are back for episode 111. The Black Mamba himself, Rashad Eugene. Welcome to the podcast once again, a friend of the show. He's been on a couple of times now. And we are here to talk about the AmeriKick Internationals, where Rashad racked up a ridiculous 42 fantasy points in the Inside Scoop slash CTE. Since I added another guy to their show, I always forget the name of their show because it's not really the Chris and Travis experience anymore. It's the Chris, Travis, and Carlos Tierney experience too. But anyway, so the Martial Arts Internetwork and Jackson Rudolph Podcast Fantasy Sport Karate League, Rashad set the record for the most points scored by any single competitor by dropping 42 for winning 3 overall grand championships, traditional weapons, CMX forms, CMX weapons. The man could not stop winning all weekend long. We're going to talk a little bit more for a Sport Karate fantasy update too here. But Rashad, first and foremost, we're going to get to how crazy AmeriKick was. But for the audience from tuning in from Black Belt Magazine that may not have seen you before, go ahead, give everybody a little bit of an introduction to the Black Mamba himself.
Awesome. So for Black Belt Magazine, my name is Rashad Eugene. I'm based out of Miami, Florida, born and raised, and pretty much I train. I'm actually still at the dojo. The world?
You're still good? Something happened tech-wise?
Yeah, tech-wise. I'm sorry. Somebody had to show me something weird. But yeah, I'm currently at the dojo at Millennium Martial Arts in Hialeah, Florida, that is run and owned by Damian Rodriguez, who used to be on the circuit, Team Full Circle, Team Straight Up. The list goes on from there. But yeah, pretty much that's me. I'm Rashad Eugene.
Cool. Awesome, man. So let's go ahead and jump right into AmeriKick Internationals. I'll go ahead and get that Sport Karate Fantasy update out of the way because we have done a very bad job of not talking about our updates on the Fantasy League enough on our respective podcasts. Me in particular, I haven't mentioned it hardly at all, so that's on me. But basically, the way the standings are shaking out right now, and I'm trying to do this off the dome, so I played Jeff for AmeriKick, which was a huge deal because Jeff and I were both undefeated. We hadn't faced each other yet. And I thought that Jeff was going to kick my butt because he had like several really good competitors that were there. He had Mason Bumba on his roster. He had Shane Billow on his roster. I think he might have had Brianna Nurse too, who wound up winning like everything in women's, right? So Jeff had a really stacked team. But I had some clutch performances. Brandon Ballou came in clutch, winning the heavyweight grands for me. And then who else was it that scored a lot of points for me? Brandon was the big one that stood out because obviously he had a huge win there in the heavyweights. So I was able to get the win over Jeff. Alex Dingman unfortunately set a career low in the fantasy league. He scored 3 points at the AmeriKick Internationals. Sorry, Alex. I'm reporting the facts. And then the middle of the pack is where you've got Carlos and Chris and Travis, and they're all kind of fighting for what's going to happen next. We are planning something maybe a little bit more fun for Diamonds, something new. There's a possibility of a redraft to mix things up. And we know that's what Alex wants because Alex's team is half retired players. But anyway, so there's the update on Fantasy Sport Karate. We do need to do a live stream on somebody's page in the future to do a little bit more of an in-depth update. But now, Rashad, let's focus on the real reason that we are here, which is to talk about you and the AmeriKick Internationals. So first and foremost, walk us through the weekend. I mean, I want people to understand you literally did not lose a forms and weapons division a single time that you went out there, if I'm correct, right? So walk us through that entire process and what that was like.
Okay, so pretty much I swept the CMX weapons division, which I have no idea if anybody has done that before. I don't know.
Not that I'm aware of.
I also took first in musical forms and creative forms. I don't know if I should say this part, but I signed up for extreme forms, but I bowed out because I was too tired.
Yeah, I've been doing too much of this winning tonight. I need to take a break.
If you can say it like that. But yeah, so pretty much. And then going on to the next day, I swept the traditional weapons division, the bladed and non-bladed. So that was a good win for that. And also, not only that, I also did fighting as well. I did wacko fighting and lightweight point fighting as well. So I took second in minus 74 kilos wacko fighting on Friday. Nice. And on Saturday, unfortunately, I lost my first match by 1 point in overtime. So just major adjustments I have to do. Not even minor, major adjustments, because I'm not taking any type of loss very lightly at this point, especially when it comes to fighting, when I'm trying to elevate my game in fighting. So, and that's pretty much for the eliminations. And in Grand Champion, I also made it to stage 4 CMX Ultra Challenge going against Mason Bumba. So, which I honestly thought he was going to take that. I was just doing my form, just making sure that I hit everything good. And that kid, he's throwing crazy. I haven't actually seen him do his form in a while, so it's kind of refreshing to see him throw his form pre-COVID. I know that for a fact, since pre-COVID. But his weapons form, flipping while manipulating the weapon, is just insane. I don't think anybody is still doing that other than your teammate Esteban Tremblay, where he throws the boot, does the Webster, and then catches it, which is, again, freaking insane. I try to do that in the gym. Yeah, no, not for me. I'm still trying, but.
And what's crazy is how they go back and forth on that move. It's like they've each done it in competition, upgraded it. Esteban at Cap Classics, he did throw it up Webster, catch behind the back, which was insane.
What the world? Okay.
Yeah, these kids are losing their minds, right?
Yes, some people don't understand my creative process. I don't understand that. So, that type of process is just like, okay, you do one thing and then next thing you know, another thing happens to upgrade that trick. I'm like, wow, okay. But other than that, back to AmeriKick. So yeah, I pretty much swept the CMX weapons division. So I was guaranteed the winner for CMX weapons overall. Same thing for traditional weapons overall. For CMX forms, I went against Cameron Whittington. Shout out to him. He's been pushing. I try to help him, give him little tips here and there for his form, and he actually has been pushing. So his form looked pretty good on stage. So that was pretty good. And again, going back to the CMX Ultra Challenge, where we had to do one form, one weapon. We do the form first, and then we get scored, and then we do the weapon, and then we get a total score from that. So that was pretty fun. That was pretty good. Again, shout out to Mason Bumba. He's a really good competitor, for sure. So I took the win for CMX Ultra Challenge.
That's awesome. So crazy weekend, all kinds of divisions. I do like the fact that they were giving extra opportunities to everybody, not just forms and weapons, not just fighting. Everybody at the AmeriKick Internationals got these extra opportunities to compete and make some money, right? Like doing the Ultra Challenge, which was 16 plus. That was cool. Yes. Doing the Waco fighting in addition to the NASCA fighting, in addition to the special AmeriKick open weight fighting, which I think was invitation only. Maybe they had a wild card. How did that exactly work out?
They did have a wild card. So pretty much it was a Waco open weight. So they already have like 3 or 4 seeds. I couldn't guess on the top of my head. And whoever wins the NASCA open weight has a spot in for the Waco open weight. And whoever wins the Waco open weight bracket has a spot for the Waco open weight in the finals.
Okay, cool. And so the next thing I want to talk about, we're going to give a couple of shout outs here real quick. We got Andrew Cabalon in the chat saying, Rashad, you're a beast. And then we also got Jeannie Jones, the mother of the truth, Ben Jones, giving some love, saying congratulations on your success. So we could talk all night about going through each of your wins because there was like 72 of them, right? But also, like, I wasn't there. It was, I think, was it the first NASCA tournament all year that I wasn't at? I think it was. But anyway, so I didn't get to see any of the action. So give us a little bit of a summary. Who were some of the competitors that stood out to you, had some outstanding performances? Maybe they were breakout competitors who we haven't heard much from, and all of a sudden they had a big tournament. Or maybe it was some big names that you felt like showed up and performed like they always do. Maybe just highlight 2 or 3 that you were impressed with over the weekend.
Okay, first of all, your boy, Ben Jones. I stepped off the mat. I stepped off away from my ring to videotape. Obviously, I videotaped his form to send it to you for video purposes, Instagram. I did it on my courtesy.
You got those video creds. You got those video creds too.
So But the division I did get was his creative weapons. That was very creative. Some of the things that he finished off with the transitions and everything, it was pretty creative. It's very unique, something that I wouldn't even think of, to be honest with you. So that's a big shout out to Ben Jones on that. Another person, Christos from Team Sharky. He's from Nebraska, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. He made it to runoffs for creative forms. Those hands are lethal.
Ooh, that's high praise.
Those hands are lethal. Being that the person that he is, he knows his power and he uses and he implemented that power into his creative form. So it was pretty good to see that, honestly. So shout out to Christos. Other people that I could think of who I saw.
Oh, now Andrew's showing some love to Christos. I'm gonna have to look this guy up. I need to watch some film. Won his first NASCA division. He was so happy. That's always awesome. Everybody remembers their first NASCA division win, right?
Here's the thing. People don't realize that they're looking at you. I didn't really think that people were looking at me. Mm-hmm. Christos was actually in the underbelt finals last year at AmeriKick. I remember that and I saw that. So he was competing for the brown belt for the advanced title, I believe. I think it was 14 to 17. All belts for the final, I believe. I don't know how it worked, but he did win that final last year in underbelt. So, and to see him elevate his game in the black belt division and taking his first win in a black belt division is just big. So, hats off to him, and I hope he keeps on elevating his game. Again, those hands are lethal, so I got to watch out for him when he turns 18.
That's awesome. So big props to Ben Jones and Christos. Can you give us that last name again so the people watching from home can go look him up?
Chris, I cannot pronounce his last name. Christos, don't come for me, please. I know Christos starts with an X. I know that for sure.
Let's get a last name in the chat.
Please.
No, but hey, that's what this show is all about. This is Andrew says I can't spell his name, so I'll tag him. There we go. We got the chat. We got the tag. It's Trienta Fillout. Well, hey, Christos, if you're going to be on stage more often now, make sure, shoot me a DM. Make sure that I know how to pronounce that name so that when I'm in the booth commentating, I can make sure that I get it right. Because that's my biggest pet peeve as a commentator is when I screw up somebody's name. So I don't want that to happen. So, Christos, you got to help me out, my man. Help me out first. Make stage second. Anyway, Rashad, what about some fighters? We've been talking a lot about some forms of weapons competitors. Any fighters that you thought stood out? Maybe some of those guys that were able to get some of those wins on you because you've been really stepping up your point fighting lately. So that's, you're not just a forms of weapons guy putting on gear.
Jefferson from Team Next Level, because that was our second time fighting. I remember our first time fighting was at a local tournament here in Miami. And again, back and forth, just switching up the angles, working on the techniques on each other. And pretty much I beat him in overtime by 1 point. And same thing, but in reverse happened at AmeriKick. We were going back, same thing, going back and forth, exchanging blows, exchanging technique, and made it to the overtime round. And then literally he hit me with a body punch. And I could respect that call. That's why I'm just going to say that. I'm not gonna blame the judges. I'm just gonna say, okay, cool, he got that. Let me go back to the dojo and work out so that won't happen again. No offense, but
no, I got you. That's real.
So Jefferson from Next Level, shout out to him. He has been getting better since the last time I saw him. He has been getting better. Another person, Tahiri from Top 10 Team USA. She's
Tahira.
Tahira. Oh my gosh, Java, don't kill me, please. She's new to the adult division and she's been stepping up her game. So shout out to her. I see her fighting. She's getting really good.
I've been trying to tell people that since Ocean State, because Ocean State, she fought in the final against Morgan. And it's like, okay, like there's no shame in anybody losing to Morgan Plowden, right?
Right.
But yeah, Tahira lost that fight, but she was not like completely outclassed like many fighters would be to Morgan Plowden. Like Tahira looked good, not to mention the fact that she had to make it to that fight to actually get to fight Morgan. You know what I'm saying? So I think Tahira definitely deserves a shout out. Anything else you got before we move on?
Their new guy, going back to Top 10 Team USA, Jaden from the Bay Area, California.
I saw that pickup. Yeah,
I seen him fight. That was my first time seeing him fight at that tournament, and he looked pretty dang good. I see why they picked him up. So hats off to him, honestly.
That's awesome. So big shout outs all around. That's what this show is all about, right? Is giving love to the people in the sport karate community, especially some of those names that we don't get to talk about as much that might have had some big tournaments or some impressive performances. And speaking of impressive performances, Rashad, this is the second year in a row that you've done this at the AmeriKick, winning 3 overall grand championships, which at the time was unprecedented because that's never been a thing in the overall grands format to be able to win 3 forms and weapons overall grands, right? So first competitor in the modern era to do that. You do it again at the same tournament for the second year in a row. So that's crazy. So I think it's pretty safe to say that AmeriKick is Rashad's tournament. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is an interesting topic of conversation because over the years, we've seen a lot of competitors that kind of come to own a tournament, right? Ross Levine owning the Warrior Cup, winning 9 of them, right? And there's a number of others that you can think of. Many would say that Kalman Choka owned the Diamond Nationals with all of his wins there, right? So I got a 2-part question for you. Number 1, talking about you first. Are there any other tournaments on the tour that you just – something's different and you're on another level at those tournaments and you feel like you always have good success there? Maybe the judges just like you there, whatever it is, right? Do you have any other events on the tour like that? And then also, if there's any tournaments that when I say that comment and it comes to your mind oh, so-and-so owned the New England Open or whatever, feel free to talk about that a little bit too.
Okay, I hope I don't get in trouble for this. But
I love that start to a sentence.
Oh, gosh. All right. So I feel as though Compete Nationals was, I wouldn't say that was my tournament, but that was my more frequent win. Aside from AmeriKick, that's my more frequent win at a NASCAR tournament because I took first place in musical weapons, creative non-bladed weapons. I will say I did tie for first in creative bladed weapons with me, myself, Alex Mancias, and Zach Schultz. If I butcher your name, I'm very sorry. He's a local guy. I know that for a fact. He does double sword at Red Dragon Karate. I know that. So I tied for first, and he actually took the win in that division. So shout out to him. But also, I took first place. Sorry if you hear that scream. I'm in the office of the karate school. So I'm very sorry.
Nah, you're good.
I also took first place. I'm still surprised to this day. I took first place in musical forms at that tournament. Again, and I'm going against Alex Mancias, Salif Salih, Dawson Holt before he got on Paul Mitchell, but he was still very good. He's still very good. And I came out the win with that in that division. So I'm still surprised to this day. So like I said, aside from AmeriKick, I would say that is my more frequent winning NASCAR tournament.
That's dope. I gotta interrupt this for just a second because Andrew's got a good comment here. Obviously Nicky Carlson Lee, the overall owner of Diamonds with 8 rings, right? But that's the other thing. In this conversation, I think there can be multiple owners of tournaments. You know what I'm saying? I would say there's multiple owners of Diamonds. Obviously Nicky Carlson Lee. From a weapons perspective, you've got Kalman at Diamonds. Also, Chelsea Nash was dominant at Diamonds. Not 8 rings like Nicky Carlson Lee, but I think she had a streak of 5 in a row, which is insane. And then there was another one that I was going to mention. Oh, Raymond Daniels at Diamonds with however many super fights and however many diamond rings he got for the overall. But anyway, so Rashad, as we bring up some of these historical names, are there any that come to mind of competitors that you're just man, it seemed like that tournament, that person was always winning?
Austin Crane at Battle of Atlanta.
Ooh, the hometown boy. I like that. That's
also at that same tournament, my coach, Marcel Jones.
Oh, yeah. And those are both hometown guys, Austin Crane, Marcel Jones. And that is a real thing. And it's not because of what everybody says, which is the whole judges are biased and home cooking. It's not because of that. If Austin Crane's winning, it's not home cooking. If Marcel Jones is winning, it's not home cooking, right? But it's also if you're competing essentially where you live, you didn't have the travel, you don't have the jet lag, you're literally able to go home and sleep in your own bed. There's so many advantages when a competitor is truly competing in their hometown that go beyond people just saying, oh, well, it's because the judges know them or whatever.
Yeah, so and pretty much, obviously, they're great at what they do. I always been impressed with Austin Crane, especially the fact that he was 8 years I know you messaged me about Austin too. At 8 years old, probably 7, throwing axe aerial to full hyper.
Yeah.
At 8 years old, what the heck? I wasn't even in karate at 8. I started karate when I was 9, and I was doing Shotokan, which, by the way, that I never started in. I never knew what XMA was, so I started in a traditional karate. So, spoiler alert for y'all guys. But yeah, so when I watch videos with him, when I watch videos of Marcel and also different people, I just get amazed as to say, wow, they're throwing this high level at this age. Is just unprecedented. It's crazy. So pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And we could go on forever about some of those. But with you right now owning AmeriKick, I had to throw that out there because I do think that that's a fun topic. And now, what many of you who are tuning in may have been waiting for, which is a new segment on the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I'm trying to keep up a rate of doing it like every other episode. We played this game in terms of just forms and weapons for Sammy Smith, who did it first. Then we had Bailey Murphy and Tyreek Saint on the podcast. They did a point fighting version. And tonight, for Master of All Trades, Rashad Eugene, we're going to do a little combination. We're playing Sport Karate Team Roulette once again. We got the hat ready to go. There's more teams that have been added to the hat than what has been played on the show before. And there's some creative teams on here. I went deep into some history to find some teams. So we'll see what we can do. And the categories that we will be choosing from, we will each get, in any order, 1 male fighter, 1 female fighter, 1 CMX weapons competitor, 1 traditional weapons competitor, 1 CMX forms, 1 traditional forms. Okay? So to repeat, you get 2 fighters, 1 male, 1 female, 2 weapons, 1 CMX, 1 trad, 2 forms, 1 CMX, 1 trad. Rashad, since you're the guest, I don't know why I closed out my notes because that's how I keep my podcast organized. Let me bring that back up. With you being the guest, you will have the honor of going first. And in the comments, see, whenever we play this game, the comments get shy. They don't want to come out and say who wins. Tonight, the comment section, somebody, one person, Mike Brumet, Jeannie Jones, Andrew Cavallon, y'all are in the chat. I see you there. Let us know who wins. We want to know who wins this matchup. All right, so Rashad, I'm not looking. I'm shuffling.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to get in trouble. Oh, found a pen. Good. I'm going to get in trouble for this, but let's go for it.
Now, quick reminder before I show off who this first team is. Remember, you can take any competitor from that team in their history, but you get that competitor at that time on the team, right?
Okay.
So the example I always give is if it's JPM, you get Paul Mitchell, Raymond Daniels. You don't get All-Star Raymond Daniels. You get specifically that one. But once you've taken that competitor can't be taken again. So we can't have JPM Ray versus All-Stars Ray, right? Okay. Maybe not the best example because both of them were so good, right? But anyway, that's the way the game works. So first, now Andrew says you're going to get in trouble. First team, Rashad, you are picking from the Florida Sport Martial Arts Academy. You get your first pick out of that school.
Damn. You know, it's funny because so many before they got on teams, before they got on NASCAR teams, everybody came from that school. Yeah, that's the crazy part. So it's like it's really hard to choose. But
I was about to say Andrew's hesitating a whole lot less than you are. I thought this one would be pretty straightforward. Oh wait, no, he's asking a question. Yeah, Florida Sport Martial Arts Academy. That's who you're thinking of, Andrew.
Yes. So, and it's fun. You know what's the other crazy part? I have so many options to go from that.
And you're not picking Mark Canonizato, bro. What are we doing?
But I'm also thinking,
it's your team. It's your team. Go for it.
But I'm also thinking Haley Glass, Caitlin DeShell. I'm also thinking Justin Ortiz because he worked at that school. Yes.
Oh, you're going real deep. Real deep. Okay, so like Haley's valid, right? Haley though, like it's weird because when I play this game, I always think of retired competitors, right? So like Haley wasn't even in front of mine because she's still out there active. But like, yeah, totally, that's a solid pick too. There's a ton of solid picks. But like the quintessential Florida Sport Martial Arts Academy guy is Mark Canonizato. It's his dad's school.
And you know, he used to fight too. Dang. So Mark Canonizato.
All right, and what are you taking him for? Forms, weapons?
I always love weapons because I always love.
Ooh.
He always had a unique sword routine.
Oh, you going with the sword? You going with Mark Canonizato's sword? All right, I respect it. I respect it.
He didn't.
All right, that's Rashad's first pick.
I'll go.
We got to keep this thing going, or this segment's going to take all night. All right, so now I'm getting my pick. I'm not looking. Rashad has Mark Canonizato on his squad for CMX weapons. Jackson has pulled KTOC Impex. Give me my female fighter. Give me Morgan Plowden. We out of here. I'm off to a good start. I'm off to a good start.
Dang.
All right, so Team Jackson, Morgan Plowden. Team Rashad has got Mark Canonizato. Rashad, your next athlete is coming from, oh, you lucky dog, Trans World Oil.
Oh, snap. Somebody in the comment better help me with this one.
No, bro, come on. Trans World Oil is like the best team in the world before Paul Mitchell rose to prominence, right? So Richard Plowden was on Trans World Oil. Christine Rodriguez was on Trans World Oil. Was KA on Trans World Oil? Or was it Budweiser JP? No. Kevin Thompson was on Trans World Oil for sure. Yeah, like, bro, you got picks all over the place here. Oh, yeah, Andrew's right. Nasty Anderson. Nasty Anderson was on Trans World Oil.
I got too many dang goats to choose from. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yes. May he rest in peace. I'm going with Kevin Thompson. The late, great Kevin Thompson.
What division? See, this is tough because he was good at everything.
Yes. Traditional weapons.
Us. Man, your weapons team is solid. You got Mark C for CMX. You got KA's traditional commas. But I got Morgan Plowden. It's going to be all right. I got Morgan Plowden. It's all going to be okay. All right. My next pick is coming from, if I can grab one of these, Metro All-Stars. Let's go.
Oh, my gosh.
Metro All-Stars. Give me, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm gonna go. Oh man, this would be the greatest traditional weapons division of all time. Give me Mike Bernardo, traditional weapons, up against KA's commas. That's insane.
Oh snap!
I've never been so happy about a pick in my life. All right, so we got Mike Bernardo and Morgan Plowden for Team Jackson. Rashad's got Kevin Thompson, the GOAT, and he's got Mark Canonizato. All right, Rashad's next athlete is coming from Competitive Edge.
I'm really going to get in trouble for this one. Dang.
Well, how are you going to get in trouble for this one?
Because everybody on Competitive Edge is good. And I know somebody's going to write me a message saying why they didn't pick me. All right. But anyways, I already used CMX weapons. So dang. Wait.
He's had an epiphany.
Team demos is a thing, right?
So not for this one because we included the fighting.
Dang it!
We played with Team Demo when Sammy was on.
Now you're making it harder for me. The next person you do this with, you better include team fighting. But anyways, I will go with. Oh, wait a minute. My boy. Dawson Holt, traditional weapons.
Wait, you got traditional weapons already. You put KA in trad weapons.
Oh, snap. My bad.
But you can put Dawson in CMX forms, though.
That's the part where I'm going to get in trouble with. But anyways. You know what? Yeah, Mr. Clean. CMX forms. I'm going with it.
All right, us. All right. And my pick to answer that, we got, if I can ever get the paper open, top 10 USA. So I've got Morgan as a female fighter. I've got Mike Bernardo in traditional weapons. Top 10 USA. Ooh, I'm gonna make CMX weapons interesting. I'm taking Cole Presley, CMX weapons, up against Mark Canonizato. Us. My team is popping off right now, my guy.
That's good. That's a good choice. Okay.
Oh, Jeannie Jones had a good one too. I could have gone Mason Stowell, Trad Forms there.
See, I was hoping you didn't choose that.
Man, I'm glad I took my boy though. I'm glad I got Cole. I'm very happy with taking Cole. All right. Let's see what we got. Rashad, your next pick is coming from Team United, which is on this list primarily because that means that you get to pick between Trevor and Casey Nash.
Trevor Nash. Point fighting. Screw it.
Okay, so wait, quick team review because I think we're at the halfway point or maybe a little bit past it, right? So I've got Bernardo, I've got Cole Presley doing CMX weapons, and I've got Morgan Plowden, female fighter. And then Rashad.
I got point fighter male, Trevor Nash, CMX weapons, Mark Canonizato, CMX forms, Dawson Holt, my boy. Traditional weapons, Kevin Thompson, the GOAT. And all I'm missing is female point fighter and traditional forms.
I'm starting to get nervous. I need traditional forms. I need a male fighter to go up against Trevor. And I need CMX forms. We got pro rank. Ooh. Wait, I gotta think. Because I'm real quick to go Marcel Jones CMX forms.
But you also got.
No, I can wait. Yeah. Give me Marcel Jones CMX forms. I'm rolling with Marcel Jones CMX forms.
Not about Donovan Sheehan, Anis.
Nah. I got Marcel Jones doing CMX forms. Come on, bro. Come on. Oh, Andrew's got a good point. I could have gone James Solis too, but I'm all right with Marcel. I'm a huge Marcel fan.
You also got Joshua Horton.
Yeah, but my CMX weapons is gone, bro. All right, Rashad, your next pick. I put double pro rank. We pulled pro rank back to back.
Who am I missing?
You were just naming people.
Who was good at trading? You know what?
Andrew is screaming at you to check the chat box, bro. He's got all kinds of cheat codes in the chat box.
Wait, can I check the chat box? What the world?
Oh, Rashad can't see the chat.
Oh, snap.
All right, I'll help you. I'll read it. Andrew's throwing out James Solis, Josh Durbin, and it was also his team. So if you need a trad kata, you could go Andrew
Cabalon. I was thinking about. I'm gonna go with
Kyle Cordova. He also just pitched in.
Wait a minute. Scott Wu.
Ooh,
for traditional forms.
Wu traditional forms. That's
Scott
an OG.
Wu.
That's an OG.
Yes.
All right. I need a male fighter to go up against Trevor Nash. And I need something else. I need traditional forms. I don't have traditional forms. All right, what do we got? I got Infinity, and I need traditional forms, and I'm going to go, making sure I don't screw up. Yeah, I'm not screwing up. I could go DG or Pia, though. I could go with either. I could pick one. You know what? Female fighters matter too, baby. Sophia, I'm taking Pia Rodriguez Flores.
Which is funny. She's actually training. She's actually training and fighting right now.
Oh, that's hype. It was meant to be. The universe made that pick. Diego, I'm sorry I picked your sister over you, dog. It felt right. All right, let's see. Oh, Andrew chimed in Peyton Foley for traditional forms. She was good. Yeah. All right, so Rashad, you only need one more, right? What do you need? What's your last spot?
Female point fighter.
Female point fighter. Oh, this could get dangerous. Now, I'm going to be nice. If you get a team that straight up did not have any female point fighters, I'll give you a redraw.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
If you get a team that did not have any female point fighters, I'll give you a redraw.
Okay.
The team you got. Oh, you got a Karali. You got the Hungarians. Darina Szabo, Henrietta. You're probably just going to go with the first name I said because I don't think you know who they are.
Man, I'm going with the first one. I know they're good fighters. I know that for
Darina Szabo won the Irish Open weight. She was in that final with Lily Rouliard when Lily she got like the nosebleed or broke a nose or whatever. She couldn't keep fighting. Darina won that Irish Open. So
gotcha. I'm going with it.
Okay, so Darina Szabo up against Morgan Plowden. I like Morgan Plowden. All right. Now I need a male fighter to go up against Rashad's Trevor Nash. Let's see. My pick is coming from Waco, UK, Elijah Everill. Let's go. Yo, that was a good game, bro. All right, so for the chat, this is so that you guys can vote. I'm going to go back over my team. Men's fighting, I got Elijah Everill. Women's fighting, I got Morgan Plowden. CMX weapons, I got Cole Presley. CMX forms, I got Marcel Jones. Trad weapons, I got Mike Bernardo. Trad forms, I got Sofia Rodriguez Flores. Rashad, you ain't beating my team.
All right, so female point fighter, I got Karina, if I'm saying her name right.
Karina.
Female male point fighter, Trevor Nash. You got to be bold to step in front of him.
Prime Trevor versus Elijah would be an amazing fight to watch. The kicker versus Trevor being like all-time great kicker against Elijah's blitz. That'd be crazy.
And he doesn't even look like a kicker too. That's the crazy part. So CMX weapons, Mark Canonizato, and he knows me personally too. CMX forms, my boy Dawson Holt. Traditional forms, Scott Wu, and traditional weapons, Kevin Thompson. Beat that.
That traditional weapons, that's the best division on this whole thing. KA versus Mike Bernardo, that is ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, that is the best game of Sport Karate Team Roulette that we have ever played. We're bringing it back. Every time that I get a guest on the show that wants to play, we're going to play because this is just too much fun. Also, one thing that I was talking about with Sammy Smith, at some point I do want to do a game night where instead of like having a guest and, doing something like this where we do part interview and then we play a game, we just do like the whole thing. We play Sport Karate Team Roulette. We do some Sport Karate trivia and have like 5 or 6 guests on, do like a round robin. Well, I want to do that. Maybe next milestone episodes. We're on 111 right now. Maybe when we hit like episode 150, maybe we go for the game night episode. But anyway, let's see. Oh, Andrew is giving his verdicts. He's saying Morgan and Karali would be a nice fight. Elijah and Trevor's a crazy fight. Dawson going. Andrew's going Dawson over Mark, but they weren't in the same division though. Dawson was CMX forms. Mark was CMX weapons. But that's interesting that Andrew's take was Dawson over Mark Canonizato. That's interesting. Anyway, and then he says Bernardo over KA for trad weapons, which I'm not even going to voice an opinion on that because I don't even have an opinion. I can't choose between those two. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a sin for me to pick against one or the other. But anyway, so Rashad, now let's dive into I want to talk a little bit about more of your story and just you as a competitor as well. Because one thing that we see at all these tournaments, right, is we see you making stage sometimes for commas, sometimes for double bows, sometimes the triple bow. You whipped out some single bow when you suffered the drop at Cap Classics, right? So across all of the skills that you have in the CMX weapons division, what do you truly consider to be your ace? Like if you can do whatever you want and you feel like it's the deepest division you've ever been in, what is it that you're going to throw?
To tell you the truth, I will say this: my most comfortable weapon is double bow. I will say that because going back to this year's U.S. Open, which was actually pretty deep division.
That was a great men's weapons final.
and not many of us dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that pretty much everybody hit their form. No mess ups, no drops. Everybody did it really good.
Whole division, by the way. You, Jake, Dawson, Alex,
Connor Chastain.
Yeah, crazy division.
Yes. Aside from other great people that are coming up, that are building their name and coming up, yeah, it was a pretty stacked division. It was pretty deep. So with that division, I will say my most comfortable weapon is double bow. Mainly, I've been actually disciplining myself with certain weapons. I'm not doing any crazy weapons. Triple bow. That's 2019. Past that. But yeah, double bow. But I also play it by strategizing. So jumping into like how I strategize things. It all depends on who's in my division, how hyped I am, because I'm starting to realize that I'm starting to understand that as well, and what place I'm going to help me realize what form I'm going to throw, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I appreciate you talking about that, because that's something that never gets talked about with forms and weapons competitors, right? Fighters get on every podcast under the sun and talk about strategy and adjustments and strategy and adjustments. Forms and weapons competitors never talk about it, but it's a real thing. Like, there is real strategy to what you put in your form, in your case, what weapon you're going to pick up for a certain division. And I feel like that often gets underappreciated in these conversations, is that there's a lot of strategy that goes into high-level forms and weapons competition. And don't get me wrong, there are people that go out there and just say, my form is my form, and we're going to see what happens, right? But really, I've always felt the great competitors are the ones who make the adjustments, who set the strategies, and have a game plan going into it. And so as we're getting into some of this intellectual forms and weapons talk, I also want to talk about your creativity, because it seems like not only do you do so many different weapons, which requires a certain level of creativity, but you debut new moves relatively frequently, right? So tell us a little bit about, for you, what does the creative process look like? Are you actively trying to come up with new moves? Do they happen organically? What is the Black Mamba's creative process?
Well, going back to I would say, because it has to do with my training schedule. So pretty much I'm teaching, working at the dojo here, and painting shoes. Pretty much I'm working constantly. So I'm trying to manage my time for training and exercising and conditioning. So, but the times that I do train, I mainly train my weapons routine, my forms routine, and then I just try to work on the tricks. And next thing you know, I do something I do a mistake, let's just say, and then I just go back to that mistake and I just say, let me try this. Let me try to actually use that mistake as an advantage. So pretty much I just, like I said this before, I just said it pretty much. Use my mistakes that I do with a weapon, somehow catches it, and then I go back to it and I try to train it to make it my advantage, to make it very unique. And with the creativity, put it like this, going back to strategizing, I actually kind of proved that to myself. I actually kind of proved that at Battle of Atlanta, because I was the last one to go. This was the first division. It was Extreme Weapons, which is, again, another deep division. It was pretty good. I was the last to go. And pretty much I was looking at everybody's form. So I'm telling you my secret at this point. And pretty much I was trying to see, okay, this person is doing a 540 passing the combos under their legs. All right, I can do that. This person is doing a trick combo and finishing it with Webster. All right, cool. I can do that as well. So literally I was making up my form as I was watching my division. And
that's crazy.
You could actually see that form because Point Fighter Live actually posted that video on Instagram. I wouldn't say, technically I was playing chess, but I can't say that was checkmate because Dawson Holt took that division. Shout out to him. So I took second place in that division. So I can't say that was checkmate, but I could say that I proved that you can play chess in forms of weapons. You can strategize like that. Obviously, not everybody has the ability that I have, whereas I could literally make up a form right then and there and successfully hit it.
And you were literally making up the form in response to what was going on in the ring. It's not like you were selecting trick A or trick B in this particular section. Am I correct? You were building the form as the division was going down.
Yes, pretty much. And it was pretty much the same strikes that I've been practicing. That was the form that I was supposed to throw. or strikes that I just practice in the dojo just for repetition. So it's pretty much those general strikes that I actually implement in the form, and plus the tricks, which going back to the creativity, those to me, technically, those are not new tricks. Those are tricks that I have actually been practicing since 2018. So it's just that I kept on practicing, and then when I feel comfortable throwing it in competition, I will actually throw it. So it's just revamp tricks, if that makes sense, or if I'm using a different word.
Well, and I like that you talk about having those tricks since 2018, because that is also a real thing that people don't realize when you just watch a sport karate tournament, is that good competitors have what I call a vault, right? It's like I had moves that there were some moves that I debuted at US Opens or at Warrior Cups or whatever that I could do it 5 years before I did it in a tournament. But I just held on to it because I was waiting for the right moment for it to be necessitated, waiting for the right strategy for it to be employed in, right? And so I think that is something that especially weapons competitors, because of the variety that you can have in weapons tricks, I think that's really important. And while we're on this topic of creativity, first, Jeannie Jones has a compliment. She says that you're precious, and she's glad that NASCA has you as a competitor and influence. But then she also made a comment that says, your shoes. So while we're talking about creativity, go ahead, give yourself a plug. If anybody wants to get some custom shoes, whether it be some slides, some Air Force Ones, whatever, right? If you want to be customized by Rashad Eugene, how can the viewers make that happen?
Pretty much you could just message me on Facebook Messenger, on Instagram message, on Snapchat if you have my Snapchat. Pretty much that's ways of just contacting me on if you want a custom pair of shoes. So pretty much I do leathers, I do leather shoes, I do canvas, I do slides. I actually started doing suede.
Ooh.
Or no, it was new, but suede, it kind of, I can do it, but it scares me. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't want to mess it up. But yeah, pretty much I could do that much. I could do those materials, and like I said, if you want the pricing and how long it would take for me to get it done, you can just shoot me a message. For my next custom, if somebody wishes to do that, I will actually have to do it after Diamond Nationals. So after Diamond Nationals, that's when I can start back up, because I still have a significant amount of orders to get done, and also some special orders that I was supposed to get done in June. But yeah, that's all I can say about that.
That's a good problem to have. You're a busy man, right? You're getting a lot of business. And guys, for those of you tuning in that haven't seen Rashad's work, go to his Instagram and check it out, because the stuff that he does with his customs is amazing. There's a reason that he's backed up on orders, and it's because so many people want that stuff. Jeannie Jones wants to know, can you do glitter?
Yes, they actually have a paint like that, believe it or not.
Ooh. All right, cool. So this is not a shoe account, obviously. We're here on Black Belt Magazine, but that is such a talent of yours. You do such a good job with it. I wanted to make sure that we gave that a shout out. And of course, all of the sport karate community, you go and get you some customs representing your team, put your name on it, whatever you want to do. But while we're talking about creativity, everybody knows and respects your creativity at this point. I want to go back, and whether it's people that you competed against or whether it's further back than that in the film study you've done, maybe it's coaches that you've trained with. Who do you think are some of the most creative competitors of all time from your perspective?
Obviously, the first one is going to be Marcel Jones, because I actually approached him that I wanted to work with him last year at Battle of Atlanta after he was doing a lesson with, I think, Sam Brumet or I forgot who he was doing a lesson with somebody. I think it was Philip Brumet at the time. And I just approached him saying I want to do a lesson with him. And pretty much it just went on from there. So he just taught me, he showed me things that pretty much is pretty simple, but again, I wouldn't even think of it. So it just opened my eyes and being disciplined at the same time to keep my hands sharp. So I would say he's the most creative person ever, in my opinion.
So you're going creativity GOAT, Marcel Jones.
Yes.
I dig that, because a lot of people my opinion is that he is the creative forms GOAT. Like that division, in my eyes, there's never been anybody better than Marcel Jones. But to go the extra mile and say just creativity in general, that's high praise. I mean, it makes sense. You train with him. But, I mean, there's a legitimate argument for him being the most creative competitor ever.
Pretty much. But I would say like this is the first and only, not only. Well, yeah, I would say the first. I will say he's the first person I ever worked with in NASCA, as far as private lessons wise, because I never actually had a private lesson teacher that would show me the proper ropes for sport karate competition, especially for NASCA. So that's why. But pretty much, the other people that I would say that I competed against, believe it or not, Austin Crane, I think it was his last year in the 16-17 division or 14-15, one of those two. 16-17, no, I remember 16-17 division. It was his last year. I competed at the Battle of Atlanta, and he actually showed me props on one particular bow move that I did that nobody has actually done in NASCA, pretty much. So I can't remember the name of it. I can do it, but I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, he gave me props on it, and I actually have an old footage of me doing that trick and him in the background sitting down and clapping for it. I was like, wow. So that's another person. Another person I would say that actually gave me more tips than usual as I was coming up, Steven So.
Oh.
Yeah, so him being on straight up, him being the top of his division, even when I would compete against him, even when I lose, he would say I was getting better. This is before I even was frequent on NASCA. Like we're talking about 16-17 Rashad, where literally I was a local competitor. Mm-hmm. Like I only go to 2 or 3 NASCA tournaments back then, but the NASCA tournaments that I went to, I would always go against Steven, and he would always give me tips on what to work on and how to better this, and telling me you're doing good, just got to keep on going and stuff like that. So Steven So is another competitor that I competed against. You also say I could name people that like are competing. I'm not competing now, but that is building their name as well.
Yeah, you can name literally anybody.
Oh shoot, okay. So first. Michael Molina is scaring me right now.
Oh, you're going young with the creativity.
Yes. So understand, when I look at everybody when it comes to forms, weapons, fighting, who's coming up, who's doing better, who's doing this, that, the third. I look at everybody. Michael Molina is scaring me in a good way. Why? Because he's getting better and better and better. Like I wouldn't even say he's the youngest one. It could be an argument, but I would say he is probably the youngest one to throw a triple spin release.
He very well may be. Yeah.
And the fact that he has that to his advantage, and obviously working with you, is just making him that much of a great competitor as well.
And yeah, I can speak to his creativity, because a lot of people might be, when you say that, they might think, oh, well, Michael's really good, but where does the creativity come in? But that's something that, as somebody who coaches him, I can speak to, because there will literally be lessons where, I'll sit down to watch Michael do his thing. And before he runs his form, he'll be like, hey, Jackson, watch this. And then he'll do something that I literally have never seen anybody do before. And I'm like, what was that? And he was like, what, you mean this? And then he'll just like do it casually. And I'll be like, excuse me? Like, this needs to be in your form. So yeah, like people don't understand like his level of creativity for his age. It's not just that he can do a triple when he was 9 years old or whatever. I think he just turned 10. It's not just that. Like, it's also like the kid literally does create things that I had not seen before, and he brings them to private lessons. And many of those things we keep in the back pocket without showing people until we need it. But like the stuff that he's got in his bag is crazy. And I think, if we're talking bow guys, especially on the circuit right now, Ben and Esteban both, I mean, their creativity is out of this world. They do the same type of thing. It's just I'm used to it with them, right? Because they're 17 now, and I've trained them since they were like 8 years old, and Esteban couldn't speak English. But I still remember some of those lessons. In fact, young Esteban, couldn't speak English. Esteban wanted to be a double bow guy, but he was still training with me because he liked single bow. So that there's a separate universe in which Esteban became a full-time double bow competitor. But he wound up obviously sticking with single.
I think I remember him actually. I seen videos of him before he burst out in the scenes out of nowhere. He was actually doing double bow. So he's double bow at that time. I think it was at 8 years old, maybe 9. Young. We're talking about less than 11 years old. 11 years old or younger.
Yeah.
That Esteban was nice with double bow. I give him that for sure.
For sure. And then if we're going all time with Bo, I mean, you got Nate Andrade. I mean, the innovations that he had, the creativity that he had with tricks was insane. I tell people all the time, literally like 60% of today's body rolls that you see in competition, Nate Andrade's the guy who made it up.
Which is funny because that's where I will watch videos of him. Again, I'm the type of how I came up. I was watching videos on YouTube, and Nate Andrade was one of them. That's how I pretty much learned majority of my body tricks, just watching his video, and also Jennifer Espina, just one of the body rolls as well. So yeah, Nate Andrade is one of them. Jennifer Espina definitely, because she's a Miami sport karate competitor. Yeah. Which now she lives in she's on with the life and everything. Another one.
She ain't just a Miami sport karate competitor. I think she grabbed the first women's weapons diamond ring, if I'm not mistaken, back when they split it, because the weapons diamond ring used to always be together, right? And then they split it, and I'm pretty sure that Jenny won the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
I have my resources.
Somebody fact check me on that. You can check it on the Diamonds website. In fact, Rashad, say whatever else you were going to say. I'm going to look that up right now while you're finishing your part.
Gotcha. Another bow competitor that I will always look at is Corey Lucas, definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. Andrew Franklin had a nice bow routine. I will watch him multiple times, just watching his bow form, how he maneuvered that bow. He had a very good one. Obviously, I got to go with the top one, Ross Levine.
Well, that's the thing. Ross was a student of Nate, right? And so I've got a story for you. Yeah, Andrew confirmed in the comments, but I just found it. So, yeah, 2012. How about this for like a time lapse for you? 2012, the two weapons diamond ring winners, men's was Stephen Gross, and women's was Jenny Espina. Caitlin Deschelle won the following year and the year after that. And then it was Sammy, Mackenzie, Sammy again, and then Haley. And so that's been the women's weapons diamond ring winners all time. And that's only like 4 people, right? Jenny Espina, Caitlin, Sammy, Kinsey, Haley. Yeah, only 5 people in, well, I guess it's only it's 10 years. In 10 years, only 5 different women have won the diamond ring, which is kind of crazy.
And one person won those 3 diamond rings, which is Sammy.
Yeah, exactly. Sammy winning 3 out of those is crazy, especially against top competition like Kinsey and Haley the whole time. You know what I mean? But anyway, so I've got a cool Nate Andrade story, and then we'll kind of get back to the last couple of things before we wrap up the show. Because I don't think I've ever told this story on the podcast. And if I have and you're listening to it again, forgive me. But it's a really cool story. And it speaks to this comment that Andrew made, which was Nate is the unspoken hero of Bo. And Rashad, I think you'll enjoy this. So Nate, you could argue, is the reason that I won my first U.S. Open. So U.S. Open 2010. I had 1 career overall grand under my belt. I won competes that season, hadn't won anything else. I'd been in runoffs a lot. I'd been on stage a lot. I had won 1 career overall grand going into 2010 U.S. Open. And one of my signature moves was taught to me by, you familiar with Justin Johnson? He still shows up in fights. I think he was fighting for Heartland not long ago.
Justin
he
Johnson.
did one of the pro point cards. He was fighting on one of the pro point cards.
Yes,
anyway,
I remember.
Justin Johnson, when I was a little kid, he was on a team called Team Kicks, which was an RSKC team. And he could do a fantail. So it was this bow spin where you'd lean over and do a palm spin behind your back. It was called the fantail. And so this is before I had ever been to an ASCA tournament. I idolized Justin Johnson's bow form because of this move, right? And so I asked him at some random small local tournament. I was like, hey, can you show me that move? And so he taught it to me. So fantail became a staple move in my form, right? U.S. Open 2010. I get told, so Mike Chat comes up to me Friday night, and he's like, so, hey, what questions do you want me to ask you after you're on stage tomorrow night? And I'm like, bro, I don't know if I'm on stage tomorrow night. Like, I've got 1 overall. Like, sir, do you mean I'm on stage? And actually, it wasn't confirmed yet that I was going to be on stage, which is kind of funny. But I did get the call the next day, Saturday during the eliminations when they used to always do it, that I was going to be on stage. And so I was trying to figure out, like, well, what am I going to do? And I saw Nate Andrade, and he was warming up for grands or whatever it was he was doing. And I saw him warming up the fantail raise up or the elevator, where you would do the fantail, and then he would extend his arm up and then he would stand up while the bow was still spinning the whole time. And so I go up to Nate, right? I don't know where I got this courage from because I'm like, 12 years old? I go up to Nate, and I'm like, sir, can you show me that move? And he does. He teaches me how to do the fantail raise up and keep it spinning while I stand up and everything. And then I did it on stage that night. And to my knowledge, it was the first time that move was done on U.S. Open stage because I don't think that Nate ever got that opportunity, although he should have. So I went and did it, and I wound up winning, and that was my first U.S. Open. So, like, Nate Andre, like, truly, not only did he have an impact on Bo for, the years leading up to when I came around, but Nate Andre had a direct impact on me, and I am forever grateful to him for that. And so it's like, Andrew says, Nate standing up from a low position is a big deal. People don't realize how tall he is. Yeah, that's the other thing, is that Nate is literally like 7 feet tall. And so him like leaning over and then being able to keep the bow moving while standing up like that is crazy. But anyway, I wanted to share that story because I think it's a really cool one. Sammy's in the chat. Sammy says that he's like 8 feet tall. Anyway, Sammy, shout out for you for tuning in. We were just talking about your collection of diamond rings.
Hold up. Speaking of tall bow competitors, this one person just made me like, he didn't teach me this move, but like after seeing him so many times, mind you, I said this before, I was a chubby kid at the time, and trying this move was very hard, even though I cannot get my arms around. You know who I'm talking about.
Skinny, bro, Ricky Morris.
Yes. The fact that he had a very unique bow form because of the tricks that he threw. It's not like the tricks that you see that everybody's pretty much doing the same thing. Okay, no offense to anybody, but just regular spin release, 360 spin, hand rolls, body rolls. Like this guy, Ricky Morris, still throws like his very unique tricks that I'm pretty sure nobody has done. Nobody still to this day has done.
Anatomically, nobody can do them.
I know, yes, the skinny mini. Okay, everybody can do that. Not many people actually did this. One of my double bow trick combos is based off of one of his moves, whereas he actually did a body roll and caught it with that same hand. So It's pretty much, how can I say this? It's like he throws a bow, right? He body rolls it and he catches it with one hand. I got
a crazy story about that move because I was teammates with Ricky. So Ricky, Kyle Montagna, and we were all teammates on the Premier Martial Arts National Karate Team, right? Skinny Spinny was Ricky's signature move. And Kyle wanted to find a way to upgrade it. And so Kyle created the not so skinny spinny, literally what we called it. And it was that with the one hand rolling it all the way around and catching it reverse. And that's, if you go back and you look at some of Kyle's forms, Kyle did that move. So that move, even though Ricky also implemented it, Kyle Montagna made up that move, which is just a fun little story.
Oh, wow. See, now that you say that, sorry about that. I'm very sorry about that. But now that you say that, I was looking at Kyle Montagna when he was throwing his bow forms as a junior, as an adult, and I actually went against him my first time in the adult division at 2014 Kratos Nationals. Or there was a tournament called Kratos. I kid you not. It was at the same spot where the Gator National was.
Yep.
So that was my first time going against him. And all the videos that I watched from him, I do remember him throwing that trick. So, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, if we go down this rabbit hole of talking about obscure bow tricks, I could talk all night long. So I want to transition, and this was originally going to be 2 separate questions, but I'll kind of fuse it into one since I know we're already over the hour mark. But we'll have some fun with this. So two questions kind of weaved into one, right? And this is all focused on how can the sport be better, right? So one aspect of this is, where do you see opportunities that NASCA could update the rules? And since we've been talking about creativity so much, let's go specifically in the creative division. What do you want to see? Because I've had a lot of guests on the show that we always talk about, well, what is your creative forms utopia, right? Like, what is, if the rules could be perfect in your eyes, what would they be? So I want you to answer that. And then in doing so, this is where I'm tying in the other question. Feel free to drop some, maybe some pet peeves, some trends that you're not a huge fan of in the CMX divisions, as well as trends that you might be a fan of. You're like, hey, this is popular, or this was popular and I love it. So that's a lot, but I'm going to let you go off because I can tell you're ready to.
not like I'm ready. It's not the fact that I'm ready. I know I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Please do not get me in trouble.
I was just getting in trouble all night. That's what the show's all about.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you're trying to set me up for failure, but it's okay. Again, sorry for the screaming out there.
Hey, we're all friends here. It's all good.
We need to put those kids in fighting gear, especially Damien's little son. But yeah, so what I want to see change in the creative division. I know it's going to be a little too much. I want to see a creative division with no releases.
Ooh, ATA style? Or ATA. WKC style? Which one? Because ATA, you can still roll the weapon. WKC, the weapon can't leave your hand at all. Which one?
Oh, snap. ATA style, of course. Just but no releases. Like how I actually thought about this question because I knew you was going to ask me this question beforehand. While I was waiting at the school picking up kids for the dojo, I was actually thinking about this question. I just thought of Ross Levine when he will always say, before he start his form, he will always say, I will perform with no tricks, no flips, no throws, just bow. Literally, body rolls, strikes, of course. And
which came from Nate Andrade, by the way, which is dope.
Again, oh my gosh, goodness. I'm forgetting my NASCAR history. I'm very sorry, Nate Andrade. Listen, but
well, no, Ross said it too, and Ross was always on stage doing weapons, and so most people know Ross for saying it. But I'm pretty sure Nate was like the OG to say it, which makes sense because Ross trained and learned from Nate. But anyway,
right. So pretty much, I want to see a division. I know it's going to be a little too much extra division. I wouldn't want to say, okay, change the division because I actually like doing the tricks and stuff like that. But I would not mind to see if they just throw out a division, put a division where it's just only strikes, only kicks, only body rolls, finger manipulation with the weapon, whichever. So that will open up everybody's eyes on what they are doing, what type of strikes they're doing. Then you could create any strike. Like to me, I could actually create a strike just by, let's just say, giving me a bow. Like just a forward strike, just move it in a different angle and just turn it into a strike and you're good. Mm-hmm. That's the way my mind thinks. Like I can create anything into a strike and sell it. So pretty much I want to see something like that. Whether it's too much or not, I just want to see it. My biggest, I have to think about my pet peeves because I have a lot.
I'll let you think about that because I want to respond to it because I like what you said. Like encouraging more creativity within striking, not just thinking that creativity means, well, what tricks can you do, right? Yeah. And I am pro the ATA set of rules, which is more loose than WKC. So WKC, to kind of clarify what I was saying earlier, the creative weapons rules that the weapon cannot leave your hand, right? So if you're doing bow, you can't do a hand roll. The bow's got to stay in your hand as you execute the entirety of the routine. So it's very limiting. WKC creative in ways is like NASCAR traditional weapons right now in ways, right? Mm. So there's WKC creative. The only difference is WKC creative, you can pass the bow behind your back, stuff like that, which you technically can do in NASCAR, even though you shouldn't be doing that, but I digress, right? So then there's also the ATA rule set, which is the weapon can leave your hand, but it can't leave your body. So it's got like finger rolls, hand rolls. You can roll the bow around your body. And the common pushback I get on that is that, well, you give bow competitors too much of an advantage. And where I disagree with that is I say, sure, there's a lot of bow body rolls that are popular and obvious, like neck roll and shoulder roll and all of their variations. But if you're a comma competitor, go watch some Rudy Raynon film. And you come back and you tell me how many tricks you can do without letting go of your commas. If you're a Chuck's competitor, go watch some Matt Emig film and tell me how many finger rolls you can do without having to let go of your Chucks, right? Now, it does kind of suck for sword competitors, right? But even for sword competitors, go watch some single sword Kalmanchoka footage and tell me how many different ways you can roll the sword around your wrist and all that, right? So I don't think that it gives this vast advantage to the bow competitors that people make it out to be. And I know that the NASCAR crowd will never want to admit that, like, they want to take an ATA rule. However, in the weapons division in particular, I do like that rule and would not be opposed to NASCAR adopting it if, you know, we did.
Right. And going back to what you said about the sword, there's a reason why I say Mark Cannizzaro for CMX weapons, going back to the Sport Karate Roulette. Because if I'm not mistaken, he did throw a unique sword form with no releases. The fact that it was just
so. Well, because it was when he was with Caitlin, and that was part of Caitlin's whole philosophy was never let go of the sword, right?
Yeah, but also he implemented when he was tricking with the sword, he would implement his strikes while he was finishing the trick. So I remember he did a rise into cheat gainer, and as he was landing the cheat gainer, he would just stab out the sword. I was just like, whoa, that is freaking impressive to me.
By the way, is there anything more beautiful in sport karate history than a Mark Canonizato rise cheat gainer?
Oh my gosh.
It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous.
Yes. So now going back to on topic about my pet peeve, I just remembered because I teach my students all the time about this, and I'm guilty for it sometimes too. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect. Bouncing into a stance. What I mean is if you're chop punch, spin, chop punch, what I teach my students, I teach them to step out. I also work on that as well. Most times I see people, they chop punch, spin, chop punch, they both have their legs out with unintentional. If it's very intentional, okay. If you trying to make it intentional, all right, I get that. Whereas you do like a chop punch, switch your legs, chop punch, all right, that's understandable. Yeah. But if you're chop punch, spin, chop punch, and you split your legs out like that, that's where we have a problem. Mm-hmm. That to me, I'm just like, yo, okay, you could step out. Even out of a trick pass where you just, let's just say landing a cartwheel hyper full. Let's just say that. Okay, you could spin out of that. You could spin out of that and step out. Some people actually land the hyper full and then all they have to do is just step out. But if you bounce into the stance, I'm like, no.
And see, that's one thing where I wish there was more judge education about that. Because if I'm sitting there and I'm judging and I see somebody land a hyper full, right? And that right foot stays planted and pivots into the stance, right? So pivot foot lands and then left foot comes out into the front stance and the right foot never left the ground again. That is the definition of going from tricking immediately back into traditional martial arts technique, right? And I give so much respect and credit for that, but I don't know how many judges give credit for that over someone who lands to the knee and then stands up and resets and then goes, right? I believe in this so much at one point. Jake Presley can tell you this story. There was one runoff that Jake was in that I didn't have anybody else that I was affiliated with in, and so I could cheer as much as I wanted to. And Jake Presley was in this runoff, and I was literally yelling because like he was landing everything on his feet standing, whereas all of his competitors were like landing to the knee. Then I was literally like yelling at the side of the ring, and he landed on his feet. Anyway, but it's like that is something that deserves more credit, and I feel like isn't always worth it for competitors to train that extra amount to land it that way because I don't feel like they truly get rewarded for it. You know what I mean?
All I can say is I'm still competing. I'm not stopping competing anytime soon. Yeah, don't have me as a judge because if I see that, I'm calling it. I'm sorry.
See, that's the thing. I feel like a lot of top competitors, that's what we all say, right? Like, you don't want me to sit down and judge because you're not going to like any of these scores that are coming.
I mean, I'll do it, but be prepared if I give somebody a certain score and I tell them why, you got to understand it. It's from my perspective. We're in this sport karate. I always tell my students that we're in this game we call sport karate. That is a matter of opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Even the judges have their own opinion about certain things when they see a routine, when they see a form, when they see a weapon, even when they see fighting. They think, I'm just going to call this out. I'm sorry, people. They think you got judges that think that the front hand back fist to the body is not a point. I'm going to get in trouble for that one. But yeah, you got judges that are like that because that's their own opinion. Okay, just adjust to their opinion so that way you can get the higher score or you can get the point. That's just my philosophy on that.
Right. And so you mentioned that you plan on competing for a while, and this brings me to my last question. Because people don't always recognize this because I'm not competing anymore. You still are, but you're actually older than me, right? And so, yeah, I'm not throwing it out there, old man. All right, I'm just playing.
Man, your teammates keep on. Your team members actually. Let me put respect on that name, on that title that you have. Your team members keep on calling me out on that. They know who they are, huh?
Are you being old? They keep calling you old?
They said I got 4 more years until I'm in the 30-year-old division. They know who they are. Yeah. So that's all I can say.
They're all kids other than Jake. Jake's not a kid, and Sammy. Sammy's still active because Sammy's going to come compete at Diamonds, right, Sammy? Putting you on the spot in the chat. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, snap.
Sammy's nursing some injuries. That's another story for another day.
Yeah, definitely. But
I would love to see Sammy Smith do it for him again. But anyway.
I have goals that I want to achieve in sport karate that I'm planning on not stop compete. I didn't say that right. That I still want to compete. I plan on not stopping on competing. Even when I can work around my schedule. I put it to you like this: like I'm doing stunt work. Like if I get a big break, okay, yeah, of course I'm gonna take the stunt job, but I'm not gonna stop competing. Because I look at it like this: I'm physically gambling over guaranteed money. That's me. So even when I take a very big break, not a very big break, when I take a very big opportunity, that's the word, into the stunt world, I'm still gonna compete. I'm still gonna find a way to compete because it's a part of me at this point. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I don't plan on stopping anytime in the future. I'll probably slow down a little bit, but I'm still not going to stop competing for sure because I still got some goals that I want to meet. And Damian Rodriguez, he definitely knows that as well. So, but right now I'm just enjoying the ride.
I love that. And I was going to preface the question with, I feel like so many competitors, they have a clock on their career, right? And I love Andrew chiming in. I'm 47 and been competing on NASCAR since I was 15. And I love that, right? And there's something key about my own career that I'm going to bring up here. But it's like, for me, like, I knew that my career had a clock on it, right? Because I knew of what my dreams were with medical school. And so I knew that when it came time to make that transition, that time was up. You know what I'm saying? But I strategically, because everybody just acts like Jackson's retired now. Everybody just like pretends that like, oh yeah, it's a sure thing. But there's a reason I didn't make no announcement. I didn't make no announcement because number one, I can come back whenever I want to. Number two, and even if things with medical school get busy, there's always that 30+ division. So Andrew, I might be an Andrew Cabalon one day. Might be coming back out there because I get the itch again, right? So anyway, but no, in all seriousness, I do think that so many competitors have that clock on their career. For a lot of competitors, it's college. Like, oh, when I go to school, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore, right? For me, I was like dead set on I'm going to do it through college, and then med school will be where I take time off. But I love that for you, you're enjoying the ride. If an opportunity comes, great. Because that's the other thing is a lot of people feel like you got to cut off the sport karate if you're going to go and do the stunt thing, and you got to do the stunt thing all in full time, or else you won't be successful. But I love your vision. I love your passion to be like, I'm going to keep doing this because I love it. And I'm going to do this because I'm good at it. And if the big break comes, that's awesome. And I'll take that opportunity. But y'all still going to see me come into a tournament, right? I love that mentality. I love everything about Rashad. I'm a huge fan of yours as a competitor. Anytime you come up on stage, just like everybody else in the crowd, I'm paying extra close attention. It's a pleasure to call your forms because you're one competitor that I literally never know what's about to happen. And so I just have to wait and then call whatever I see. So Rashad, thank you so much for your time tonight. Any closing thoughts or comments for our audience here?
Be open-minded when it comes to creating forms, when it comes to creative striking, because at the end of the day, we're doing martial arts, okay? We're trying to prove those people in the other comments that don't believe what we're doing martial arts is martial arts.
Sometimes in these comment sections.
Huh?
Sometimes in these comment sections.
Yeah. So be open-minded when it comes to creative striking. Creative tricks, of course, because look who you're talking to. But be open-minded, express yourself more often when it comes to forms, weapons, even in fighting, okay? And just be you, pretty much.
I love it. What an awesome message. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Rashad, the Black Mamba Eugene, 3-time overall grand champion at the AmeriKick Internationals, and that is in one tournament, 6-time if you count the last 2 years at that one tournament. 42 fantasy points, going to throw that out there one more time. Sammy Smith saying in all caps, keyboard warriors. That's right, the Jackson Rudolph Podcast, fighting keyboard warriors left and right. Thank you to everybody tuning in. We could not do the show without you guys. It's the viewers that drive the show. So thank you so much for all of your love and support. Huge shout out to Black Belt Magazine and Century Martial Arts for sponsoring the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Rudolph. This has been episode 111, and I'll see you next time.
Peace out, guys.